Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Now available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
God dang, I got him in a headlock. I'm calling a high spot. How are you, Robert?
I'm doing fine, my friend.
God dang, I tell you what, I got up this morning, I got on the internet, and all of a sudden my Twitter account started blowing up. Everybody knows how big of a fan I am of the Rock and Roll Express, and I heard you guys were finally going into the WWE Hall of Fame. So I called your longtime partner, Ricky Morton, because I had his phone number. I said, hey, man, congratulations. If you talk to Robert, please tell him I said congratulations. He goes, hey, Steve, I'd rather you call him. And I said, well, give me his phone number. So I got your phone number, called you this morning to say congratulations. It turned into a podcast. I apologize to my listeners if I'm underprepared for this podcast, but I was just excited to talk to two of my favorite guys in the business of tag team wrestling. Robert, congratulations on going into WWE Hall of Fame. What does this mean to you?
Man, I tell you, Steve, it means a lot. You know, worked hard all our life. Me and Ricky, we've been together. We're the longest tag team in history, and we've been out there busting our ass for years, something you know all about.
What did it feel like to finally get the call?
It was shocking. It was made my heart feel good. Not only that, I got that call, and about 5 minutes later, I got a call from my daughter, and then a call from my son, and they're both expecting babies, 2 boys, and hell, I'm going to be a pawpaw too. So I got good news all the way around that day.
I know you guys are still a little bit on the independent circuit, but being this far removed from the national or worldwide scene, did this catch you out of the blue, or did you think this would never happen?
You know, I can't say I doubt it would ever happen because, you know, we've been around a long time, and a lot of fans, all I get on my emails and Facebook, you know, when are y'all going in? You're way overdue. And I just told them, you know, when it's right, it's right.
Hey, you're a member of Dave Meltzer's Hall of Fame from the Pro Wrestling Observer, and, you know, he has very strict criteria. So, you know, when I was looking you guys up, obviously you belong there. Midnight Express are there as well. But for some reason, you know, the WWE is really, I mean, it's the big time. It's really the only major promotion going, in my opinion, in the United States right now, with respect to the other ones that are still going on. Are you looking forward to getting down to Florida and getting up there and making it official?
Yes, I really am, Steve. It's going to be a big honor. It's always an honor to get something like this, and I'm looking really, really forward to it.
You know, I was starting to do a little bit of research on you guys, and I didn't know. I guess I'd heard many times growing up that both of your parents were deaf.
Yes, sir.
How was that for you growing up with 2 deaf parents?
Well, it was kind of rough. My dad left when I was like 3 years old, and my mom had to raise 5 kids by herself, and that was pretty rough. So I was a baby of the family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was a baby of the family, so I had to hang out with her when she was out trying to get people to donate money for these little cards, you know, ABC cards.
Yes.
That's how she raised us. She was a hard-working woman.
So at what age did you learn to learn sign language?
I guess about 1.5, 2 years old. You know, started picking up the little things. And if you notice, back in our career, a lot of times when Ricky would do his interviews, I would do sign language to the people. And before long, it was amazing to see all these deaf-mute people showing up at the arenas.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
I would invite all the deaf-mutes to the arenas, and I was translating what Ricky said, and it was really surprising to see them all come out. That was really cool.
So where was your father during this time? Because wasn't he in the business, or didn't he haul the ring?
No, that was Ricky Morton's dad that carried the ring around during the refereeing times. My dad wouldn't. He left when I was 3. He came back around when I was about 15. I saw him for about a week. And then one night I pulled up in Dothan, Alabama at the farm center, and the security guard come out and says, your dad's here. And I said, what? He said, yeah, your dad's here. And I thought, really? And I saw him, and that was a big shock. And after that, we become close. It was years and years later.
Well, how did you get in the business? Because I know your older brother Ricky was already in the business.
Yeah. We both was. He started when he was like 16. I was 6 years behind him, so I was like sitting up the wrestling ring when I was about 10, 11 years old, and I followed his steps. Bob Kelly, Ken Lucas, the Wrestling Pro, all them guys. And I started putting up the chairs, and then I got advanced to putting the rings up. Then I started selling tickets. Next thing you knew, I was in the ring refereeing.
So who taught you how to referee?
Mainly just learning and being around it. Mainly a lot of stuff I learned back then was from my brother, Rick Gibson.
So did he actually teach you as far as the mechanics of the business when you made your in-ring debut?
Yeah, I tell you, back then we didn't have a ring to practice in. We used to go down to Pensacola Beach in the ocean, and he would grab me in that water, like in a front face lock, go to suplex me, trying to explain it, and I realized that my head was underwater. He's about to drown me when he suplexes me, And then the body slams come out there in that white sand. So I got tossed around a lot. And Al Spider Galento, I remember being 13 years old, going to his training center. And, back then, you get mat burns on your knees and your elbows. But back then it was such kayfabe, and it made you tough. Hell, I used to get mat burns on top of my head. And then I'd get on my bicycle and ride back home with tears in my eyes and saying to myself, do I really want this? And by the time I got home, I couldn't say anything, because if I'd whine about it, then my brother would whip my butt again. So I was kind of, like I tell my students now, I'm training these boys. I said, y'all have no idea what it was like training 30 years ago, 40 years ago, because you really get the grind, Boys today didn't realize what it was like back then, because they were, like I said, you get mat burns on top of your head. You
started, what, in about 1977?
Yes, sir. I was 17. Had my first match against Eddie Sullivan. New Brockton, Alabama.
Well, what about the time, I forget where the territory was, they changed your name.
Yeah, that was in Memphis. When I finally got to Memphis, I was probably 18 then, and they changed my name to Robert Gibson, because Rick Gibson was my brother, so they went from Reuben to Robert. Jerry Lawler did that, and I stuck with Robert Gibson ever since.
So you turned into Robert Gibson, and then were you wrestling more in a singles-type position back then, or were you already doing tags?
I was doing tags with my brother.
Did you enjoy tag team wrestling or singles wrestling more?
Let's back up a little bit. Before that, before I went to Memphis, I was up there in Harley Race's territory with Pat O'Connor and them guys, and Rick Gibson was wrestling Harley Race all over. Ricky was only like 23 years old, and Harley told me later that Rick Gibson was such a natural, they wanted to put the world title on him at 22 years old. And they'd go out there and they'd have hour Broadways. Then they'd go out there for an hour and a half Broadway. And instead of me wrestling as a Gibson brother, they gave me a name as Reuben Goldstein.
I was reading that. Kansas City, 1974. Goldstein. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever happened to your brother? I was reading. I know he passed away in 2006, but he had a real bad car wreck in the 1980s, early 1980s. And man, every time when I would be in WCW, we'd talk about some of the older days, and I would be, talking about the Rock and Roll Express, you and Ricky, and then you and Ricky Morton. But your brother's name would always come up, and they said, "Oh man, you should have seen his brother. His brother was a hell of a worker." Oh, what happened in that car wreck to end his career?
Well, a drunk driver hit him head on, and I got a phone call that said, your brother's in the hospital, you need to get there quick. And when I got there, in the emergency room, I heard somebody screaming, and I knew it was him screaming, and the doctor came out. He says, who's here with Rick Gibson? I said, that's my brother. And the doctor asked me, says, what does this guy do for a living? I said, he's a professional wrestler. He said, I know he had to be something like that. He said, because he said, you hear him screaming? I said, yes, sir. He said, that's because they had to cut the emergency brake pedal off because it went through his calf and out his knee. Mm. They had to cut the emergency brake pedal from the car, and it was still in his leg. They couldn't remove it because he was bleeding on the inside. So they had to wait until the blood got there before they could take that metal out of his leg. And the doctor told me, he said, the average guy would have done passed out. He said, I knew he had to do something, he said, because he's got scars all over his body.
God dang, I was reading the report here, said he was in intensive care for 39 days. What was that effectively the end of his career?
Well, actually, he lived. It happened in the late 80s, and he lived to 2006. Finally, all the morphine and all the pills he took for pain over the years finally caught up with him.
But that was the end of his in-ring career after that surgery from the car wreck?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. He never wrestled again.
Man, I hate to harp on a bad subject, but being that young with that much potential, what kind of effect did that have on him? All those, getting out in the 80s, he was alive until 2006, but how did he take that? I mean, that's kind of right there in line with, the Magnum TA accident, which ended his career.
Exactly. I remember one night in Smoky Mountain where me and Ricky Morton was wrestling Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton, and they had Cornette outside, and they had my brother handcuffed to Tammy Fitch. So as soon as they took them handcuffs off, the match was over. Cornette got in the ring and said, "You old washed up has-been Ricky Gibson." And back then he had a cane, and out of nowhere he dropped that cane. He dove in the ring like he did back in his younger day, and he made a comeback. And after he made a comeback, when the heel scooted out, he grabbed me and says, "Holy brother," he said, "hold me up." I said, "What the hell are you doing?" But it was unreal. He made his last comeback right there.
Hey,
nowhere.
Jerry Lawler or Jerry Jarrett, either one, is often credited with putting you and Ricky Morton together. But in doing some reading before I talked to you, it was actually your brother Ricky that put you together. So explain to me, or put the bottom line on how you and Ricky formed the Rock and Roll Express, or at least were put together.
Okay. Well, right after my brother had that car wreck, me and my brother was partners in Mid-South with Jerry Jarrett and them. After he had that car wreck, I was doing some singles, and Ricky Morton was out in San Antonio. Him and Ken Lucas were partners. So I'm in Florida, and I get a phone call from Jerry Lawler. Said he wanted to team me and Ricky Morton up. Well, I knew Ricky Morton through the wrestling family for years, but we never tagged. So they brought us up here to Memphis, and me and Ricky Morton got together, and they had a flea market outside the Coliseum that night, and Jerry Lawler took me and Ricky Morton out there, and we started buying bandanas and feathers and going to see what we're going to wear, how they're going to dress us up. We got all this stuff out there, and we just put it all over us. And I remember our first night doing our debut in Memphis, as we're getting ready to go out, the security guard says, "I don't know whether to call y'all rock stars or Indians." Didn't know what to call us. And Jerry Lawler gave me a pair of his outfit. He had a blue pair and a tan pair. Ricky Morton grabbed that blue pair, and I got stuck with that tan pair, and it looked like I was naked with bandanas on.
How was the debut?
The debut was great, and at the time they had the Fabulous Ones as their main headliners, so we would do the spot shows as the headliners, but eventually we knew we weren't going to get past the Fabulous Ones because that was Jerry Jarrett's boys. So they come up there one night, Bill Watts and Eddie Graham out of Florida come to Memphis, and they were looking for some tag teams. And after that night we got through wrestling, Eddie Graham called us in there. He said, "Jerry Jarrett, I don't know what you're thinking." He says, "I know what you want. You got the Fabs." He says, "But this Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson says they come here to get over. They come here to work." And Bill Watts took us to Louisiana. He's never used small guys before. He said, "I'm going to give y'all a chance." So we went down there, and thank God we broke all of his records that he had over the years. And then after that, we're in the Superdome, and Jim Crockett comes down there at the Superdome. He says, "The only reason I'm here tonight, boys, is to see y'all work." He said, "Ric Flair told me," he said, "I've got to come down here and see y'all guys." He said, I'm here tonight for one reason, to watch y'all work. And we went out there and did a job for Ted DiBiase. I think it was Dr. Death. We got back in the locker room, and Jim Crockett said, boys, my territory is not doing what y'all doing down here. He said, our territory is kind of down right now. He said, but if y'all will come work for me, I'll give y'all a chance at the world titles. And so they played our music and our videos for 2 or 3 weeks before we went down to the Carolinas. And to be honest with you, we got to the Carolinas, I never saw a bad house.
So you guys were
saw a bad house.
You guys were over when you got there based on them playing your videos and your vignettes.
Exactly. And I remember Shelby, North Carolina, July of '85. You know how they put the TV sheet on the wall, all the matches?
Yes.
So they had me and Ricky on the first match against the Russians. We've never even wrestled the Russians, and they got the undercard on the TV getting ready to go after our match, and they didn't smart nobody up. So we go out there and we work. We knew we was going to go 55 minutes and win the title. So but everybody underneath us on that card, TV, going to find out later, they was all going, well, hell, they're taking up our time. So we did the whole hour show and won the world titles, and as Magnum TA said, we shocked the world.
Okay, you shocked the world. You were in that promotion. Let's go back to the Watts territory when that was the first time Watts had used smaller guys. What was the atmosphere like in the locker room? Because, that man, when you look back in the day, y'all had a pretty stout locker room. Everybody was pretty much a big guy, 250 plus almost. So, how were you guys perceived? Because I know Watts said, hey, you guys are going to have to sell for these guys.
Exactly. So we're in the locker room. He brought us in. And Bill Watts told all them big boys, I'm talking about Duggan and Hercules and Hernandez, like you said, they were all 250 plus. And Bill Watts told them, he says, when these guys here, he said, these guys here are going to make money for us. He says, when they hit you, he said, you better fly like I hit you. And me and Ricky thought, hell, we done got buried right off the bat,
Was there any type of heat out of that, or did everybody get it? They knew that they were trying to get you over? I mean, because back in the day,
everybody got it, and everybody loved to work with us, and because we were the kind of team that we was able to adjust to work with anybody, and when everybody's making money, that means everybody's making money. Then he also told them, if you hurt one of these boys, don't even think about coming back to the dressing room. Just get your bag and get the hell out of town.
That's a double set of heat on you. But, hey, man,
exactly.
He's making an investment, and he's sending a message to the whole locker room. I just think it's real important to point that out. As much pressure as you guys were on or had on you, he really set the table for you because he believed that you guys could get over and draw money. But, hey, it's going to take a whole team effort for the guys to – you know how it is, man. If no one wants to sell for you, nobody gives a rat's ass. And so
that's right.
It turns out that Bill Watts was a very smart guy, and y'all had a great run wherever you went.
He laid it out.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
You own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. So you and Ricky become this tag team, the Rock and Roll Express. Who came up with the name Rock and Roll Express?
Well, at first they were going to call us the R&R Express, Ricky and Robert. But then, I'd say if it's between Lawler and Jimmy Hart. And Jimmy Hart, he tells me all the time that he come up with the name Rock and Roll. Lawler says he did. So it's kind of, it's between them two. I really don't know. I just know it's between them two.
Okay, so you guys had massive success with it. And y'all were one of my favorite tag teams of all time from, to right now. I was a big fan of you guys, and, I'm just right behind you in age, but you guys were a generation ahead of me in the business. When you and Ricky first got together, you'd been tagging with your brother, Ricky, but now you're with Ricky Morton. How long did it take for you guys to achieve the type of chemistry that you did? Because I was in a tag team, the Hollywood Blondes, with Flying Brian, not for a very long time, but
I remember that.
It took us a while to really gel together. So how long was that process for you and Ricky?
I don't think it took too long, because what I did is I just did with Ricky Morton what my brother taught me with him. So all the spots that me and my brother did, me and Ricky Morton did. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Rick Gibson was the first guy to ever do the drop kick off the top rope.
That's what I was reading.
1972. That's a big thing in Japan. They talk about that a lot. Yeah, Rick Gibson was the first guy to do the drop kick off the top rope, and so basically what me and Ricky Morton did was the same stuff that me and my brother did.
When did you guys know that you was on some special with the rock and roll? I mean, because when Watts took you down there, and like I said, they had the fabulous one, and Watts came in and cherry picked you, and then all of a sudden here comes Crockett a little bit longer. How was the experience with Bill Watts? How long were y'all there actually? Even a year?
We were there from 82 to 85.
Okay, so 3 years.
Yeah. And you know what? And Eddie Graham, I believe if he hadn't passed, I believe he would have took us to Florida before we even had a chance to go to Mid-South. Because he was like the top of the guy of the NWA back then. And he's the one that come down there and told Jerry Jarrett, that's the team, Rock and Roll Express is the team y'all need to be pushing.
Well, who did you guys work with down there in Mid-South? I mean, Bill Watts territory, whether it's Mid-South Power Pro or you can eventually turn it into UWF, because you took the titles off the Russians, but who were the established tag teams that you were working in that territory?
Well, what they did in Mid-South, they brought the Midnight Express down there. Bill Dundee was the booker then.
Yes.
They brought the Midnight Express down there and had them go over everybody. Then we came in. They brought us in to work with these other teams, like Ted DiBiase, Dr. Death, Hercules Hernandez. But then they built it up for the Express to fight the Express. So we had our big run with the Midnight.
So y'all were already starting with the Midnights down there in Mid-South.
Exactly.
Oh man, because some of your I got to go back and watch more film, because most of your stuff that I saw was all the stuff with the Crockett's.
Yeah, we drew a lot of money with the Midnight Express down there. Like I said, they went there first, and then we came in Mid-South, and when we left there, we went to Crockett's, and then the Midnight came to Crockett's.
Okay, so y'all preceded them. Okay, so then in the early days, then that would have been Bobby and Loverboy Dennis Condrey, correct?
Correct.
How was that combination
Bobby and Dennis
working between, one Bobby and Dennis and then Bobby and Stan? Give me the differences.
Oh, man, I tell you, both of them were hell of workers. I had the pleasure to work with Dennis Condrey with my brother against Phil Hickerson. Phil Hickerson and Dennis Condrey were a hell of a team. And I got to work with David Schultz. I did my first comeback against David Schultz, and he started calling head scissors and all that stuff. And hell, I was only 18 years old. And that's what I'm saying. The stuff that me and my brother did eventually led back to what me and Ricky Morton did, like the double drop kick. That was one of my brother's things back in the day.
When did you guys know that you had this great chemistry with the Midnight Express? Because that's one of my favorite feuds of all time. We'll go on to talk about y'all versus Arn and Ole or Arn and Tully, but the Rock and Roll versus Midnight, Jesus Christ! I mean, I don't think you guys could ever have a bad match, and I don't think you ever did. Was it always like that from Jump Street?
Man, it was like that from Jump Street. It was you knew it was over when the fans were wanting to get in the ring, and you'd have riots here and there, and then when wrestling was over, you go to your car and you get swamped by the fans. The girls were like going crazy. they'd be crying at ringside, and it was over. Then they're chasing you down the highway. It was unbelievable.
How wild was life back in those days? I know you're all settled in now, but how was life back in the day on the roads? Did you sleep much?
I was telling somebody the other day, I remember in '85, I just bought me a brand new black Trans Am. It looked like the Knight Rider car. So me and Ricky get in that car, and we drive to Memphis. We drive to Greensboro, North Carolina. As we pull up in this brand new car, I think I had like a $10,000 paint job on this thing. As I pull in the back of the arena, there must have been 3,000 fans on top of my car. I'm blowing the horn and get the F off my car. And, I mean, they're on the windshield, they're on my hood, they're on my roof. And you look out the window and you couldn't do anything because there were probably 50 people deep. They were pushing up against the car, and the people that were next to the car, their faces were just smashed in the windshield in the car. But my car looked like it come out of a damn derby.
You know,
it took them 45 minutes to get us out of a car. And back then, you remember Doug Dillinger, right?
Yes, I do.
That's how he got his job, security, to keep people back. Finally, Greensboro, after that incident, they put up a fence out back for the boys to park. It was crazy.
You know, it's funny when you get a nice car like that, you're happy to see the people. You're happy they're so rabid to see you. But when you're in your brand new Trans Am with a $10,000 paint job, you just don't want them on your car.
No, I mean, I was cussing, blowing the horn, get off. You know, it was crazy. I remember one time they had a lookalike contest, and these two kids got to win the tickets to they dressed up like me and Ricky, so they got to go to the theme park there in Rock Hill. So the limousine picked them up, and Crockett's limousine picked them up, and me, Ricky, and these two kids went to the theme park, and our first ride was a roller coaster. So I got one kid in the car with me, and Ricky's got one in the little buggy with him. We take off on this roller coaster, and all of a sudden they just stop it, like the power went out. Here comes security. Said, guys, y'all have got to leave the amusement park. We say, we're here with these kids. You know, what's going on? They said, no, y'all don't understand. Everybody in this theme park, they're either at the exit or the entrance. So they took us out of that cart. We're climbing over the rails, me, Rick, and these kids. They took us out the back gate, and we had to leave the amusement park.
Why? Because there's so many people trying to get in?
Exactly. We shut down the amusement park. All the fans were at the entrance gate. I mean, all the people were right there. It was crazy.
With as over as you guys were, how tough was it to get around? Just to go to the store, go to like a Denny's or an IHOP or a Waffle House just to get a bite to eat if you're on the road? Well,
I'm sure I know you experienced that. It was the same way probably the same it was with you, Steve. It was you couldn't. I remember in Charlotte, they actually had the police every night. There would be a different cop out in our driveway, parked out in front of the house just to keep people out. It was stupid crazy. I remember when at Trans Am, when I pulled in my neighborhood, I had it timed out just right. When I turned that corner, I could push my garage button and haul ass and be in my garage before the door shut. I mean, it was that crazy.
How long did the Trans Am last?
Probably 3 years. I finally just had to get rid of it. Got too many speeding tickets in it. It was crazy. I bought that Trans Am from Billy Jack. Remember Billy Jack?
Yeah. Well, you probably got a good deal.
He used to have that car. Right? I got a heck of a deal. He used to just have it in car shows. But, yeah, I finally probably run the tires off of it.
Other territories that you guys worked, Mid-South was one of my favorite wrestling programs of all time, you know, when Watson's run it there in the mid-'80s, when you guys were there,
yeah.
or Crockett's NWA, which would turn into WCW, you know, mid-'80s, late 80s, all that stuff. What was your favorite promotion to work? Because to me, I guess I like the stuff from the Crockett's. I loved when you guys were doing business, whether it was the Horsemen or, you know, Ole Arn or whatever. But what was your favorite territory personally?
To be honest with you, I liked Memphis when we first started, and then we went to Louisiana, and I really loved that. The only thing I didn't like that, they had them long roads, with no interstates up there. You did them back roads, and Bill Walsh ran a tight territory. You couldn't be late, then we got to Crockett, we got on that nationwide TV, and Charlotte become home. Charlotte was great.
Hey, how tough was that travel schedule working with Bill in Mid-South? Because I've heard nothing but horror stories from the boys talking about how long those roads were. Because, you're basically, y'all working about 3 or 4 state area, weren't you?
Exactly. Every night was 250, 300-mile trip wherever you went. And it was all back roads, all 2-lane highways back then. The only time you ever got on the interstate if you was going east or west on Interstate 10. Other than that, it was just back roads driving.
And a lot of that stuff down in Mississippi as well, right?
Oh, yeah. You'd be driving, you see a tractor in the middle of the road or a cow or, And we did a lot of traveling back in with Mike Thaw's Jim Duggan. We always carpooled a lot whenever we could. Terry Taylor, Magnum. It was fun.
Hey, man, I saw
really
you, I guess it was some time, I don't know if it was, I guess it was USWA, because it seemed like it was a Memphis TV taping. And you guys, it was you and Ricky, rock and roll, and y'all working with Wildside, and it was Chris Champion and Mark Starr. It was that version of them. And so you get thrown out, and then here comes Chris Champion off the side of the apron with the flag pole, hit you in the head. Boys, you get a good little zipper, go back in the ring. Dude, where were you wearing your blade?
In my mouth.
Really?
Yeah, I always carried it in my mouth.
Because I was looking, I said, man, he sure got that clean and fast. And I was like, where did it come from? It was so seamless.
Yeah.
And I never saw you deposit it anywhere, so I just had to ask kind of randomly because it was a slick job.
Yeah, that's something my brother taught me. He kept it right in your mouth. When it was time, you spit it out, you did it, and you drop it in. You'd grab your opponent by the tights, you pull him for a gut shot, and you would dispose of it.
I'll be damned.
Sure it is. That's how we... Everybody else carry them different places, but I always carried mine up in my mouth. I remember one time my brother, we was working Continental one night, and Dennis Condrey gave him a backdrop. What he did is shot up in the air, and Phil Hickerson caught it in the air. He took that bump, shot out of his mouth, and he caught it like right in midair.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Support for the Steve Austin Show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Guys, we all know that it can get dicey trimming down there, and that's why Manscaped has redesigned their electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created, and just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. Their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced Simple Safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. When I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery lasts up to 90 minutes so you can take a longer shave. The waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower. One of the coolest features is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming. They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. If you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Trim that junk of yours. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code SteveAustin at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SteveAustin at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code SteveAustin.
Did you ever get burned out as much as you guys are running, as hard as you guys are running with the party lifestyle and the travel from the professional work style?
You know, it was rough back then, especially in the Crockett days, because he worked us 9 days a week. We'd work twice on Saturday TV, and then we'd fly to Philadelphia or Chicago that night. and Sunday we'd do an afternoon show and then a night show. And it got so bad, we went 9 months without a day off.
Are you serious?
Working 9 days a week, and out of that week, Steve, you got to realize we were doing 5-6 hour Broadways every night for a week. And this lasted. It got so bad. Finally, we told Crockett, said, "Look, we've got to have a day off." And Crockett's words were, "If we leave y'all off, we'll lose 25 or 30 grand."
That's how much you guys help them carry that territory.
Yeah, he said, if we let you off, that's how much the company would lose. Finally, we had to fake an injury just one of us to get a day off. I'd get a day off, and then Ricky get hurt or say he was hurt, and he'd get a day off. That was the only way they would let us out.
They're running you guys that hard, and just so literally you had no say.
Had no say. They run us so fast, and they were selling so much merchandise, and they kept all that, and it was crazy. They kept us so busy that we didn't know what was going on.
How did that play into your family life? I mean, when I got into business, I got 3 divorces, but I wasn't on the road nearly as much as you guys were. How did that play for you? Especially given that schedule you just lined out for me.
Yeah, I've only been married once, and it only lasted a few years. Especially when all the winter dates, same time they had that Kids Look-alike thing. They had a night with the Rock and Roll Express in New York City, a winter date, and girls got to send in why they, and I think it was like 15 words or less, why you want to go out with the Rock and Roll Express. And they picked these 2 girls, and they didn't get over too good with the wives.
I don't imagine so.
But one thing about it, when we first went to Mid-South, Bill Watts didn't have no airplane. After we was there 3 years, he done bought him a jet. And then we go to Carolinas. Crockett and him didn't have no airplane, and he ended up buying a jet and a 24-seater. So he bought 2 planes. So we go to New York City with these 2 girls, and went and saw the play The Cats, and Bill After was there, and they, like I said, they run us so much. It was doing them hour Broadways, and that was a toll on your body. And one night we wrestled, me and Ricky wrestled Ole Arn in a cage match. And can you believe Dusty made us go an hour Broadway in a cage?
Boy, that's asking a little much. Speaking of Arn and Ole, some of my favorite rock and roll matches are with Arn and Ole, and certainly Arn and Tully were a force as well, but I just liked Ole because he fit in there with that big bully style. He was kind of the heater. Arn would come in, and take some bumps or take a DDT or what was that damn enziguri kick at you or Ricky used to do, stuff like that to pick the match up. He'd be the high spot guy, but I just liked Tully in that big bully role. How was it working with those 2 guys? Because I've heard, on one hand, a lot of times Ole didn't want to sell for Ricky. Not he didn't want to. He just played the big guy routine, and y'all had to earn his respect.
Right. Well, when he first came in, he told Crockett, when he first saw us, he said, "Them guys are too little, You can't draw no money with them guys." And Crockett said, "Ole, you don't understand. These guys are selling out everywhere." So anyway, Ole said, "Okay, he's going to do it." He went out there and worked with us. And Ole, when you made a comeback on him, he would hold that rope and just rock. You give him 15, 20 punches, he would just rock. One night in Charleston, I'll never forget, it was at the Civic Center, and I think I gave Ricky the hot tag that night, and Ricky come in, hitting Ole, and Ole's holding that rope, and he's just rocking. Finally, Ricky Morton just stopped during the comeback. He just stopped, walked to the center of the ring, and Ricky took a flat bump. Bam! I can see Ole's holding the rope, and he looked down at Ricky and goes, "What the F are you doing?" And Ricky looked up at him and said, "Hell, you wouldn't go down. I thought I would." And Ole says, "I don't know whether to kick your ass or shake your hand." But after that incident, he started taking slams off the top turnbuckle and everything. And we drew a lot of money with them. They did a Rock and Roll Super Summer Sizzler where they got me and Ricky a big bus. And they put on the side of it, Rock and Roll Express Super Summer Sizzler. And everybody else in the territory, all the top guys, I think Crockett flew them all to Hawaii or wherever they wanted to go for that week. So they worked me and Ole and Ricky and Andersons and me and Ricky all over the spot show territory. And I think we did $250,000 worth of business that week.
God dang.
Just in spot shows. Florence, South Carolina. You've been there, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Florence, South Carolina, outside in a ball field, we did $48,000 in Florence, South Carolina,
damn.
which was crazy. I remember our first night after we won the titles, we go to Raleigh, North Carolina, and we did $47,000 the first night. The next morning, Dusty Rhodes calls us in the office. He said, "Boys, y'all broke a record." He said the record in that town was Ric Flair and Blackjack Mulligan. It was $27,000. And our first night there was $48,000. And he said, "Boys, that's like Babe Ruth. That record would never, Dusty said that record would never be broken." Well, 2 weeks later, we come back again with the Russians there. It did $56,000. So after that, Dusty says, "Well, hell, the Russians, let's do a six-man." So he did a six-man. And our third appearance back here, we did $72,000 in the town. So it went from the record of 27, 48, 56 to 72,000.
But you guys were, what was it, on the Mid-South or the Crockett? They had you guys on the, I guess it'd be on the B tour, but y'all were out drawing the A guys.
Yeah.
So
I remember Dick Murdoch one time.
What'd he say?
Yeah, I remember Dick Murdoch was on the plane, and Dusty says, "Dickie, you ready to come back with the A team?" He said, "Hell no. B team's is outdrawing the A team." I thought, "Oh shit, there goes some more heat." He said, "Hell no." And then Wahoo McDaniel, "No, keep us on the B team," he said. And also back then, when Vern Gagne sold out to Crockett, they took the whole top A team went to Baltimore, and they left me and Ricky against a Barbarian. And I'm trying to think of his name. They come to me here in a minute. But anyway, they took the top crew to Baltimore and left us there in Charlotte. Well, we sold out Charlotte. The next morning, Dusty called us in the office. He said, "Rock and roll, there's two things you don't do in this territory." "What's that, Dusty?" "Y'all do not, and I mean y'all do not, sell out the Charlotte Coliseum when I am not on the card."
So y'all got him selling out Charlotte?
Because he wasn't on the card. And that's when he started trying to pull us apart. He tried to put us in single matches. And that didn't last either because the fans wanted the team. I thought, wow, that's pretty heavy.
Boy, I tell you
Pretty sure that was his exact words. Y'all do not sell out when I'm not on the card.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what you're trying to do. You know, wherever they send you, you want to do business. If you wasn't doing any business, they're gonna fire you. Now, all of a sudden, you got an ego problem because you're selling out, and it's the booker telling you that you don't sell out if you ain't on the card. Well, he should have put himself on the card. Well, and he should be happy that you're selling out and breaking records.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what happened, my friend.
Hey, I was reading an article before we got on the phone, and I guess it was either you or Ricky talking, and as long as I think it was Ricky, because like he considers you like a brother, and you guys aren't blood brothers, but you guys are as close as brothers, but there's been good times and bad times. How often,
right.
how hard was it? I mean, you can imagine like a rock and roll band tries to keep all of the members happy, and the Eagles, there was more of them than two, but man, with so many egos and the band going in different directions, they just split apart and never got back together until hell finally froze over and everybody was flying to the gigs in different airplanes. So with you and Ricky, how did you guys maintain a relationship, and what caused a rift or divide whenever a problem would arise, and how would you guys settle the thing down? I guess I'm asking, how did you guys keep this thing together? Because it wasn't all fun and games.
Exactly. I was with him more than I was my wife, I mean, on the road, I was with him every day. 9 months together with anybody, he's gonna get on your nerves. So when it comes to that point, we would just ride different. We'd go in different cars. And we'd meet up at the arena, do our thing, and then we'd take off again in different cars. We always did business because that was the name of the game back then. You had to do business. So we were smart enough. We knew where our bread was buttered together. But if we did have differences, we would just ride in different cars. I mean, we never come to a point where we're going fight each other or not.
Well, how would you guys know about? I mean, I probably know the answer to this question, but who's going to sell? Who's going to stand on the apron? But Ricky probably sold because.
Yeah, well, at the beginning, it was like both of us. We were both sold. Matter of fact, our very first night when we won the world title, I think I sold for 30 minutes and gave Ricky the hot tag. But after that, then it went for him to sell. Because I was the biggest of the two. Yep. And it didn't really look good for the bigger guy to give the smaller guy the hot tag.
Right.
And a lot of times we'd be in there working, and we both, our chemistry was so good together that a lot of times during a match we would just swap because that's what it was there at the time to do that. And we could take each other's spot like it wasn't nothing.
Right.
We could adjust, either way.
You guys are still working some shots right now, right?
Oh, yeah, we're still double drop kicking. Now, instead of the people hollering rock and roll, they still do that, but now a lot of times they holler, y'all still got it. That's the chant now, y'all still got it.
But on that note, I want to ask you, I lasted 13, 14 years in the business, got dropped on my head. You guys have been in the ring now for, if you started when you were 16, you've been around 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
So how's your body
going on
feeling?
42 years.
How's your body feeling?
The only major things I've had happen to me, I had ACL done, cracked ribs, teeth knocked out, stitches. But other than that, one thing about me and Ricky, I guess we've never stopped. We kept going. I guess if we would stop, we wouldn't be able to walk.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Paying out of your own pocket for gear you need to do your job is a problem. All kinds of departments across the nation, police, fire, EMS, medical workers on the front lines, and even military units, they all deal with constrained budgets and outdated gear. But there's still a job to do, and you need the gear to do it. Hunting for military, first responder discounts has historically required going from one website to another and all kinds of hassle. Don't you wish there was one place you could visit that had a carefully crafted selection of deals for military first responders in one spot? GovX works directly with brands to negotiate the best prices possible because you deserve the gear you need at the prices you've earned. Plus, you can trust that the gear you're ordering is 100% authentic, direct from the manufacturer. If you must pay out of your own pocket, you shouldn't have to pay a premium to get the gear you need to effectively perform your duties and complete your mission. GovX has a huge collection of gear and apparel from popular brands, all in one convenient location. It's like a grown man's toy store in here. Just wait until you see our knife collection. All you need to do is sign up for free. No subscription fees. No re-up in your membership every year. Once you're approved, you're a fully fledged GovX member for life. GovX honors your service and gives back to your communities. We don't just thank you for your service, we honor it. So if you're an American of service, a current or former member of the military, firefighting, frontline medical, or law enforcement communities, or the emergency medical, join GovX for free and enjoy a community that honors and gives back to patriots like you. If you've got a military or first responder background, visit govx.com and sign up for free for instant access to tons of deals and a community that honors your service. Visit govx.com and receive $15 off first orders over $50 or more when you use code STEVE. That's $15 off first orders over $50 or more when you use code STEVE at govx.com.
I guess we're stove up,
Yeah, I think if you just keep the gears going, I guess. But also, when I look at you guys' style, Y'all never. I mean, certainly there was a bump or two that was out of the ordinary, but for the most of the time, I mean, you guys, it was just work a body part. Your normal bumps. There was nothing crazy. There was nothing cruiserweight style, and so you're working a pro style match, which is grounded with safety and psychology, and the fact that you guys were so over, and working with the guys that you were working with, and in many cases were so over. I mean, sure, y'all were tearing down the house with these matches, but my point is you didn't have to do anything crazy to put your bodies on the line to elicit a response, and so it was a safe style.
Right. There was times that we shot over the cage and shot through there and got hurt. I remember racing Virginia one night working against the Johnny Ace men and sheep herders. And I took that bump over the top rope where they pull the rope down like over backwards.
Yes.
As I land on the floor, Johnny Ace he was green back then. He was managing the sheep herders, and I remember coming up my face on the concrete and starting to get up. And Johnny Ace came out of nowhere, stomped me in the back of the head, and I think it chipped like seven of my front teeth through the concrete. And I felt the impact. I saw the blood come out. I didn't realize it chipped my teeth until I took a breath. And it was like a cold shot going to my brain. I thought, holy shit. But yeah, he got 7 of my teeth chipped out. We did take the bumps off the top and all that, but like you said, it was mainly just more or less the bumps.
What happened in 1990 with your knee? Because in 91, I guess there'd be like a Ricky turned heel on you, but you were coming back from a knee injury. What did you do to that knee?
We were in Jacksonville, Florida, working Doom, Butch Reed and Ron Simmons.
Yep.
And Butch had my leg extended. Ron come off the top rope on my knee, and it sounded like a firecracker went off. Pow! And I thought maybe just hyperextended it. So I worked 3 more nights. And that third night, I told Crockett, I said, I got to go get this thing checked out. I want to wrap it up. It was as big as a balloon. But we were the world champions then. And, you had to defend that belt every night. So I'd wrap it up and put heat on it and try to get that swelling down. And after the third night, they sent me to Atlanta. I went and saw the doctor, and Dr. Andrews. And as soon as I walked in there, in about 3 seconds, he says, well, you snapped your ACL. I didn't know what an ACL was. I said, okay, what are we going to do? He says, you ain't going to do nothing. He says, you're going to be out for about 9 months. I said, Doc, you don't understand. I got to wrestle tonight. He says, the only reason you're walking now is because your other ligaments are so strong. He said, if it wasn't for that, your knee would just be dangling. So I did the surgery, 4-hour major surgery back in. They didn't have the endoscopic. It was a major surgery.
Yep.
And they put me out for 9 months. So about 8.5 months goes by. I'm getting ready to get back in the ring. And Ricky Morton calls me up and says, hey, they want to turn me heel. I said, Ricky, don't fall for that. I says, again, this is Dusty Rhodes and Magnum and them. I said, Ricky, don't fall for that. I said, you know what they're trying to do? I said, just wait, because I'll come back and we can be hot as ever, Or we can rejoin. He said, well, they got this big contract. I said, okay, do what you want to do. So they brought me in. They shot that angle where Ricky turned on me. And we had our match in Baltimore. And about 3 days later, I'm at home. I get a note from WCW and says, we no longer need your services. And about 3 weeks later, they let Ricky Morton go.
Oh, man.
So that was just a way to get us out of the picture.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And Ricky told me later, he said, I wish I'd have never done that. I said, I tried to tell you that's what their plans were. Then I went to Smoky Mountain, and Ricky come join me in Smoky Mountain. And then Bill Watts got the book. Remember Bill Watts got the book in WCW?
Yep.
For a little short time. Just for a little short time. He brought me and Ricky in from Smoky Mountain. He brought us to center stage, and we came out and got a hell of a pop. And matter of fact, I still got it on tape, and you can see it where Bill Watts just holds his hands up, like I guess he told the office this is what they need. anyway, the next day he had an incident in the office where he got fired, so we never did come back together there.
But that was going to be in the makings, because I had just come in. I believe I might have been on the crew, or I was coming in right on the heels of that if I wasn't already there, because Dusty had the book, and then I came in and Dusty hired me. But then Watts came in. He rescinded the top rope rule. He took the pads away from outside of the ring, and so then I guess he had taken over. Was that at the time?
Yeah, that was it.
So y'all had a chance to get back together, but then you didn't.
Yeah, he was going to bring us back in right there. That he got released. He got fired, I think.
Yeah, I heard that just well, there's many different things that I heard, but one thing I heard, he had a gun in that office, among other things. But I just doesn't seem like he was a good fit in that company.
I heard it was something to do with the secretary.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear that, but if it was, it was. Do you think, as hot as he had the territory down in Mid-South, that the business passed him by, or he just wasn't good in a corporate setting?
He liked to do things his way, I guess.
Right.
I don't think he adjusted to the corporate setting. That's what I would say. When
you guys went and worked with Smoky Mountain, your relationship with Jim Cornette, obviously all the battles, you guys had to be good friends. What was your relationship like with Jim Cornette? Listening to him, be on the receiving, on the giving end of those wonderful promos that he cut, or the receiving end of that loaded tennis racket to get heat.
Right. See, I met Jimmy Cornette when me and my brother was partners in Louisville, Kentucky. He used to take pictures of the boys. Yeah. And then the boys would order their pictures from him. But he still had a lot of heat with the boys. So I remember Jerry Jarrett asked him one time, he said, "Jimmy, you ever thought about being a manager?" He said, "Well, not really." He said, "Well, look, if you can be a manager and get heat with these people like you do these boys," he said, you'll get over real good. So that's how he got his start. And I remember one night we was down in Louisiana. I think it was Baton Rouge, and you hit them ropes, and Cornette would always catch you with that racket. Yep. Well, this one particular night, as I hit that rope, he swung that racket. Instead of hitting me flat, he caught me on the rim of it. Yep. And boy, right in my ribs. I mean, I went down. I thought he cracked my 3 or 4 ribs. So when I got back to the dressing room, he's over there, and I grabbed his damn racket. I said, "Stand up." He said, "What?" I said, "Stand up. I'm fixing to hit you like you hit me." And he looked at me. I said, "Turn around." And boy, you see the fear in his eyes as he turned around. I reared back to hit him. I just tossed him that racket. I said, "Buddy, next time, make that sumbitch flat." Right. I never hit him, though. I just let him know, "Damn, son, you like to kill me out there." but he stood up. He bent over. He was going to take the lick. Why did he have so much heat with the boys that they thought he could get heat with the audiences just by the way he talked? He was like a little nerd, I guess. He was the way he walked around. He did things his way, and I never had any trouble with him. I love Jimmy. Jimmy's a super guy. Oh, hell, I didn't know. Yeah, well, that's funny just hearing that story. I knew that he started off as a photographer, but I didn't know that someone came up to him and said, "Hey, man, you could get heat with the boys. If you could talk like that and get heat as a manager, you could get over and sell tickets." And he's one of my favorite managers of all time. Yeah, I guess that's the way Jerry Jarrett approached him. That's exactly what he said. That was you get heat like that with the boys, you'd be a good manager. It was his life's calling, obviously. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he's one of the best managers of all time. Oh, I agree 100%. I used to get so mad at him, I wanted to throw something at my TV because I wanted him to shut up. And he could go on and on and on. He never repeated himself. He'd just go on these different tangents. And when it was somebody, please shut this guy up. So, I mean, he was one of those guys that I didn't like to hate. I hated him. I just hated everything about him. So he was really effective at his job. What are you doing now? Because I know Ricky's got that wrestling school over in Chucky, Tennessee. Yeah, I've got one here in Douglasville, Georgia. Oh, what are you doing over there? I got a youth class. I train these little kids, 9 to 13, and I got an adult class. I've had my school over here probably about 2.5 years. You live in Douglasville, Georgia? Matter of fact, Yeah, I live here, and everybody says you used to live here.
Yeah, man, I used to live in Villarica, right off of Post Road. I mean, I lived in a log cabin out there on Smith Road. I can't believe you ended up in Douglasville.
Yeah, I'm here in Douglasville. Matter of fact, I'm the exit before in Douglas. I'm the exit before Post Road.
God dang! Boy, I tell you what. We used to get fired up out there. I'm claustrophobic, but Villarica, that little city that's right down, what's it, not that highway, whatever it is.
78.
Yes,
61.
Right down 78. There's some old gold mines back here because Villarica, I guess, means city of gold. And I had this buddy. He was part Indian. So we'd walk the rivers with these headlamps on, and we'd be gigging frogs and stuff like that, or we'd go deer hunting. And one thing Billy liked to do was walk in those old gold mines. And man, we'd drink some at the cheap version of Gold Strike or Gold Slogger. We drink at Gold Strike, and then you drink some beer with that. And even though that Gold Strike's only about 80 proof, that combined with that beer, I mean, it'd make you stupid. And these days, I mean, we would go back there and walk through all those abandoned gold mines, and they were, shut down, and you were supposed to stay out of them because all the quartz was rotten. You could have got trapped in there. Man, we'd walk back in there with our headlamps on, and I tell you what, Robert, I'm so damn claustrophobic. I mean, you couldn't get 10 power lifters, whatever, the baddest shoot fighters in the world to get me nowhere near that damn tunnel. But we used to walk those things all the time, or walk the rivers. But I got a lot of good memories of Douglasville. How do people find out about getting into your school or contacting you?
It's on. You get on Facebook. It's called All Pro Championship Wrestling Academy.
All Pro Championship Wrestling Academy.
Yeah, in Douglasville. And I run a show here once a month at the Armory, and I have a good little turnout once a month there. And basically, I love the business, and in my training center, I get down there, and I still get in the ring with the boys and show them, the best of my ability, and I got a bunch of good little kids there already.
God dang, I'll be dang. So when these guys come in, you got a new group coming in. Are you just starting off with the basics? I mean, some tumbling drills, learn how to take a flat back. Yeah. How does Robert Gibson
I start them off with a forward roll.
Yep.
Make sure they know how to roll back to the feet, the basics, and then I go from there. I got a youth class, and the other day my 12-year-old come in. He said, "Coach," he said, "I'm ready to debut." I said, "What?" He said, "I'm ready to debut, buddy." And I tell you, if he was 17, 18, I'd put him in the ring already. That's how good they are. These young kids are catching on so quick.
Is it basic style? Is it the style that's going on inside the WWE?
Yeah, they're doing leapfrogs. They're doing sunset flips. They're doing the backslides. They're doing the small packages, schoolboys.
God dang. Hey, it was good talking to you, Robert. Who actually called you today, or whenever they called you, to let you know that you were going to be in the Hall of Fame?
What's his name? Connors?
Shoot, I don't know anybody that anymore. But did you think it was a rib at first, or did you recognize the number, or what?
Well, yeah, I recognized the number because it was an old WWF number I had in my phone.
Right.
And it showed up WWF. Mark Carino is who it was, and he set it up. Then a couple more people called me. Matter of fact, I got a text a while ago from Jake the Snake Roberts congratulating me. Flair called me and he said, "Boys, way past overdue." He said, "The beer's on me." Old Ric Flair. What great matches we had with them boys.
Oh, unbelievable. So who called who first? Did you call Ricky, or did Ricky call you? Ricky Morton, your partner?
They called me, and then I called Ricky, and then about the time I was talking to Ricky, they called Ricky as I was talking to him.
I talked to him earlier today to tell him congratulations. He said it was one of the most exciting moments of his life.
It definitely is. Definitely is. And I tell you, one of my great moments today when you called me, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I followed your career, and my hat's off to you. You're one of the best.
Oh man, I had a good time doing it. But again, I grew up watching you guys. I mean, we're very close in age, but you guys got in the business before I did. But I was just a huge fan, and when I found out that you guys were going in today, I apologize. I wish I would have done more research for the conversation, but I just said, man, I got to have one of these guys on the podcast, and you and I were talking, and the podcast came up. So it was good talking to you. I don't know if I'll be down in Florida or not. If I do, I'll see you and shake your hand and say welcome to the Hall of Fame. But God dang, from right now being in California, talking to you down in Georgia, my old stomping grounds, man, I'm so happy and so proud of you guys that you got one of the greatest tag teams in the history of the business, and so to be recognized by the WWE, I just think it's an awesome thing. So I'm happy for you guys, and I'm proud of you.
I just think it's kind of crazy. We've been together since '82. It's going to be a hard record to break for a tag team being together that long.
I don't think you'll ever see it again. I really don't.
I don't either. That's what I told Ricky the other day. I said, I don't think it's a tag team that's been together nowhere near this. It's going to take a long time for somebody to break that record.
Yeah. You and I were talking before we started the podcast about the Super Bowl. And, with the way that finish went down, I thought Atlanta kind of gave that football game away. And when you speak about like the rock and roll, when you look at what Tom Brady's done, won 5 Super Bowls, been to 7, MVP of 4. It'll be a long time, if ever someone comes close to that record. I don't see it happening. I don't see anybody coming close to doing what Tom Brady has done since he's eclipsed the best. It's going to take, I don't think we'll ever see what Tom Brady's doing right now be broken.
I know either, my friend. All I can say, next time I see you in a ring, I got to throw you a beer and we got to have one.
I'm down for that.
I got to try that. I heard you got a new beer out.
Man, it's Broken Skull IPA. I will, if I get down there or whenever we see each other, I will bring some of my beer.
Ricky Morton told me he said he didn't want to taste that beer. Is that true?
No, he says, man, send me some of that beer. And I said, man, I know you ain't going to like it. I said, if he still wants some, I'll send it to him. But it's an IPA. And I was down at my ranch. And last year, my sister came down, and me and my buddy was in there drinking my beer. And my sister, because you can only get it in California or have it shipped to you. She goes, is that your beer? And I said, yeah. And she goes, can I have some? I said, well, of course you can. And so she drank it and she swallowed it. And she's used to drinking, just regular light beer. And she had this funny look on her face. And like what the F was that? And I said, it's all right. Don't worry about it, because she don't want to hurt my feelings. I said, this is an IPA. It's a million miles away from a light beer. So I said, it took me about, a year and a half to acquire the taste that I did. Yeah, so it was kind of a journey. And so that was my journey. I ended up with the IPA, but I told Ricky, I said, man, you ain't gonna like this stuff, but I'll ship him some. Hell, I'll ship you some. Congratulations on going into the damn Hall of Fame.
Thanks for giving me the time, buddy, because it definitely is a pleasure going up there and getting that ring and being in the ring in front of a lot of my peers up there and seeing all the guys again. That's going to be a big honor.
Well, it's the best of the best, and y'all are the best of the best. So we'll end on that note, man. Congratulations again, Robert.
All right, man. Keep rocking, Steve.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
On January 28th, stream iHeartRadio Alter Ego 2021, presented by Capital One, exclusively on Live by Live, featuring new performances from Billie Eilish and the Foo Fighters, plus iconic Alter Ego performances from more of alternative rock's biggest artists. Stream exclusively on Thursday, January 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on Live by Live. Visit livexlive.com/iHeartALT for more information.